Hello and good afternoon to wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for joining Oracle's HR Talk Time. I'm Kerry Nutley and I'm the HCM Strategy Director here in the UK and Ireland. We're very grateful today that Jane Basley has joined us, who's an organisational wellbeing consultant and movement specialist at Body Manoeuvres. Jane has set this company up over the last year or so, having left the corporate world, and I've seen the content, and this content is amazing. So I know we've had some great speakers on like Leatham Green and Suki Bassi, who've talked to us about the importance of taking breaks, and Jane's going to give us a bit more behind the science. So if you're interested to find out the why and the what, Jane's really going to help our understanding with that. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to Jane, who's going to give us a quick 20-minute overview of optimizing your posture, diet and fitness during sedentary times. And as always with our calls, if you have any questions you'd like to pose to Jane, please do use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we will keep those to the end, and then I'll post them to her then. So thank you so much, Jane. Over to you.
Okay then, thank you, Kerry, for that introduction. It's a great privilege to be part of the talks that have taken place over the past couple of weeks. I think the speakers have been excellent and they provided absolutely first-class suggestions and advice. And as Kerry said, my goal today is to build on what they've said and provide you with some more specific facts and some practical suggestions as to how to look after your posture, diet and health in these difficult times. So yes, I have had a corporate career as a program director and change management specialist, as well as juggling family life. So I know how difficult it is to be able to actually look after ourselves. However, I also had a passion for health and well-being, which is why I started up Body Manoeuvres. And my goal now through Body Manoeuvres is to keep people moving. So with that in mind, let's get started by looking at posture. So first of all, what is posture? Well, it's the position in which you hold your body and limbs, and that's when you're standing, sitting, or lying down. And to actually have good posture means that you need to be aware of always holding yourself in a way that puts the least strain on your back, whatever you're doing. And it's not a one-off, it's something that we should expect to work on at our whole lives. So when we have good posture, whether it's when we sit, stand, or we have good form when doing activities, we use less exercise and we can maintain more easily the balance that our body craves. When our bones and joints are in correct alignment, it allows the muscles to be used as they're intended. So actually we're less tired, we have less fatigue, and we have more energy. The muscles don't have to work so hard to do what they're supposed to do. So the extent to which we sit now, whether it's for work, to watch TV or play video games, eat or sit in meetings, is much greater than it ever has been. And our bodies weren't built for this amount of limited movement. So all the previous suggestions as to making sure how we move regularly are absolutely spot on. So what are some of the benefits of good posture? Well, first of all, there might be fewer headaches. One of the consequences of laptop use and mobile phone use is where we place our head, and we can end up with something called a forward head posture. And this can contribute to tension headaches due to increased muscle tension in the back of the neck. The human head weighs between 10 and 12 pounds, but when it's in a neutral position, it feels as though it weighs nothing because it's actually balanced on our body. However, for every 1 inch the head moves forward away from this neutral position, it can increase the weight of the head on the spine by an additional 10 pounds. So if you're conscious of your head sitting in a forward position by 1 or 2 inches, that could be between 10 and 20 pounds. So by having this forward head posture, it can put long-term stress on your cervical spine. So that's the vertebra at the top of your spine, leading to muscle strain and to migraines. So if we correct our posture by keeping our head back, our ears in line with our shoulders, and we keep moving, we can actually reduce that muscle tension and reduce our headaches. We can also get less tension in the shoulders and the neck. So a forward head posture puts strain on the upper back and the shoulders. So our trapezius, those muscles that go across the top of our back, they become long and weak. And the pecs or pectorals, which are those muscles at the top and front of our chest, then become short and tight. So they balance each other out. So it leads to an imbalance in our upper body and could potentially cause other issues when we do something that we've not done for a long time. And it might be something as simple as reaching up high into a cupboard for something for a meal. With proper alignment, the joints and ligaments are less stressed and less subject to chronic overuse. We can also get an improvement in our lung capacity. So a forward head posture reduces a person's lung capacity by approximately 30%. So just think about that. When you slouch, your lungs become compressed. When you sit and stand taller, your lungs have more space to expand. So in other words, good posture improves your breathing. If you were to fill your lungs with air and fill them fully with air, you should actually be able to move your rib cage with the amount of air that goes into your lungs. And if you think about when we sit and slouch, that will hardly ever happen. We can get a reduction in lower back pain. So sitting or standing in a slouched position for prolonged periods of time stresses our lower back. More specifically, it puts pressure on the discs, the ligaments, and also the muscles. And then finally, is improved circulation. So again, when you sit in a slouched position for a long period, it compresses our vital organs. Your circulation becomes poorer, and the organs won't work as well as they're supposed to. Your body requires a healthy blood flow, which requires proper alignment and avoiding positions which cramp circulation, for example, like crossing your legs. So how many of you now have just uncrossed your legs? So what we can find is that when we are working from home, as most of us are doing now, that we actually make do with whatever work area that we can find. It's not going to be ideal, and it's not going to be set up as it would be in the office for us. So if we find ourselves in this position, we come back to some of the basics. Move frequently, ideally every 20 to 30 minutes. You can find apps on the App Store. You can use the alarm on your phone, or you could use the functionality on your watch as a reminder. But actually, rather than put it off, do it. Move. Your body will thank you for it. If you're doing a Zoom video call, use some books or a box on which to place your laptop and actually stand for the call. Do some work standing up using that book or that box. Keep your screen an arm's length away from you, and then sit up straight and don't lean to one side, as this will cause the spine to curve, and it will cause muscle tension and imbalance. And as you know, there are probably many health and safety guidelines that can be found on the internet to actually be more specific about where some of our office equipment should be placed. But the thing to remember is that no one can sit with perfect posture all of the time, and it takes a lot of strength to do so. So a rule of thumb is if you feel tired and can't keep a straight sitting position, change your working position. So before we move on to take a look at movement, I'm going to indulge in a short history lesson. So our species, the Homo sapiens, appeared approximately 200,000 years ago, which makes up only approximately 1% of our entire time on Earth. Our ancestors were very active during this period. They hunted and scavenged for food, and life was very hard for them. But they expended around 3,000 to 4,000 calories per day in their hunt for food and staying safe. They could walk up to 30 kilometers per day. So just think about that for a minute, 30 kilometers, which they did frequently. And they also had feast and famine cycles. So our ancestors were very physically active in order to survive in their environment. But these conditions no longer exist today. We don't have to hunt and search for food, so we've effectively eliminated the powerful motivation and connection between moving, food gathering, and survival. But ironically, our bodies are still designed for an active Stone Age life cycle. The changes in our lifestyle since the 1950s have been dramatic, and it's creating new challenges for our bodies and what we need to do to look after them. We are encouraged to sit for longer. We have amazing new labour-saving devices to help us do this. Think of the films and programmes on Amazon or Netflix that we can watch. We have washing machines, we have dishwashers, we have non-iron shirts. I could go on. Children are encouraged to sit and be quiet. In fact, we can sit for longer periods during a 24-hour cycle than we sleep. About 10 years ago, a new wave of health research started, aiming to quantify the health risks of extended periods of sitting. The researchers had ample evidence that long periods of sitting resulted in an increased risk of negative health outcomes. So this has subsequently turned into the science of being sedentary, where sitting is now the new smoking. And one of the researchers was Dr. Paul Batman, who I've quoted on the slide, an eminent inactivity specialist, who said that we need to treat moving as an opportunity rather than an inconvenience. So we need to be physically active for at least 30 minutes a day, and walking counts as part of that, as well as, and this is the key part, regularly interrupting sitting time with activities or standing. Which brings me on to NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So let me give a little bit of background about this first of all, and about the body and how it moves and how it uses energy. So for any movement in the body to take place, the body uses chemical energy to convert to the mechanical work that it does. Now we eat 3 food groups mainly, carbs, fats and proteins, and they all supply the chemical reactions to keep the energy generated in the body. The process of generating and using this energy gives off a byproduct of heat, hence the term thermogenesis. And this turnover of energy by the body is what we call our metabolism. Now we know we want to use as many calories as we can every day, being active and eating the right balance of calories to match that. And we all know that any calories not eaten and not used get stored. So muscle contraction is one of the big users of energy in the body. So the more muscle tissue you have relative to your body weight, the more energy that you will use. The more you move your body, the more calories your muscles require to burn as energy. So NEAT is the energy the muscle contraction requires to move the body. It's the everyday life movement. It's the energy we use for everything we do that's not sleeping, eating, exercise or sport. It includes walking and moving around generally, fidgeting, working, performing tasks briskly and so on. Even small trivial tasks raise the amount of energy your body uses and therefore raises our metabolic output. It's the accumulation of all the energy used by the body by moving throughout the day, and it doesn't include sitting. So your NEAT could increase your metabolic output by anything from 15 to 35%, meaning that you could use more calories in a day. And think how good that would be for your body. So depending on how much NEAT you do, you could increase your calorie output by anything up to 1,000 calories a day. So the key question there is, how can I make my day NEAT? So in addition, and this is the key bit, in addition to vigorous exercise, low intensity movements can create a much healthier person. And if you can actually perform these activities many times throughout the day, they can contribute significantly to energy expenditure. So we have to look for opportunities to do these. Now on this slide today, I've put up some very simple examples linked to us maybe being at home now more than we've ever been. One of them, for example, is carry everything that belongs upstairs at home upstairs when you have to do it, rather than leave it on the bottom stair so that you take up your 5 or 10 things all at once. So even if you have to climb the stairs 5 or 10 times, do it. Don't ask anyone else to pass you anything. Go up and get it yourself. When you sit down for the evening, leave your phone in another room and leave the remote by the TV. That means anytime you want either of them, you have to actually get up and move to go and get them. Get up and down to the floor and back at home at least 10 times a day. And carry your bags. Don't let anybody else do it for you. So make NEAT your statement of choice. For everything you do now, say to yourself, could you make this NEAT? And set NEAT goals daily. Now I understand I don't use an iWatch, actually I use a Fitbit, but you could, if you did have an iWatch, you can actually use this to keep check on your progress. Which brings me on to the immune system. So our immune system is a complex network of cells, organs, proteins, and antibodies. Without an immune system, we would have no way to fight harmful things that enter our body from the outside, or take care of harmful changes that occur inside the body. And our immune system has got three main things to do for us. First of all, it's there to fight disease-causing germs like bacteria or viruses, and to remove them from the body, to recognize and neutralize harmful substances from the environment, and to fight disease-causing changes in the body, such as cancer cells. Now, we also have a lymph system, and this works in conjunction with our immune system and helps defend against other bacteria and other intruders. In fact, it's one of the most undervalued out of all the body systems, and the one we don't really talk about. But if it stopped working, we would likely die within 24 to 48 hours. So the lymph system is made up of lymph nodes. They're about the size and shape of a pea, and there are between 500 and 700 of them in our body, and that does vary slightly from person to person. The majority of them are located deep inside the body, and they're clustered in areas around our rotational joints, so like our shoulders and our hips, our chest, around the lungs and the heart, and some of them are close to the surface, such as under the arm or the groin. But every tissue in our body has immune cells stationed in or circulating through them, and they're constantly roving for signs of attack. So some of the signs that the lymph system might be underperforming in your body include getting headaches, if you have brain fog, lack of energy, recurrent sore throats, or maybe a reduced ability to fight infection. However, unlike the cardiovascular system that has a dedicated pump in the form of the heart muscle, the lymphatic system has no central pump. Because of this, the fluid tends to move comparatively slowly in the body. Our lymph fluid is pushed along as we breathe and move. It relies on gravity and pressure, which is created when we move around. So it's mainly the contraction of our muscles as we move that squeeze the lymph vessels that creates lymphatic circulation. Therefore, moving in general stimulates the flow of lymph fluid, giving a tremendous boost to the immune system. Inactivity can significantly restrict lymph flow and can lead to a buildup of waste and toxins, leading to inflammation and disease. So, practically, what might be some of the things that you can do? Breathing deeply again. Staying hydrated is important. Participation in any form of exercise. Ask someone for a massage. Yoga is a great way to encourage lymph flow and maintain the health of the system. Or jumping on a trampoline or rebounder, or even bouncing on an exercise ball is a perfect exercise to help restore and maintain the lymph system, as it's low impact and repetitive in its action. And there are also some very specific lymph stimulating exercises where a lot of the lymph nodes are. And depending on what sort of exercise you might be into, you might be familiar with a lot of these already. Neck rolls, for example, or leg circles or pelvic tilts. They will all be great to actually help you with your lymph system and your immune system. So moving on from the immune system, let's have a look at the immune system and its connection with the gut. So boosting your immune system is your best protection against all viruses, and the fastest way to increase your immunity is to improve your gut health. And the interaction between your gut and your immune system is still a work in progress, and there's a huge amount to learn. However, recent research has shown that microbes that live in the gut, which we call our microbiome, play an essential role in the body's immune response to infection and in maintaining overall health. 70% of the body's immune cells are packed into the gut, meaning it functions as the immune system's control tower while still serving as a digestive organ. And your gut is big. It's 9 meters long with hundreds of folds in it that would likely cover an entire tennis court if we laid it out flat. It contains about 3.5 to 4 pounds of bacteria, which is actually more than the weight of the brain, which on average is about 3 pounds. And as well as immune cells, the gut also contains about 500 different types of gut bacteria, totaling some 100 trillion organisms. And together they constitute something that's called your intestinal flora. And it's an ecosystem that suppresses the infiltration of germs into the body. So inside your gut, there are good bugs and there are bad bugs. Good bugs interact with your immune system and keep the germs at bay. and bad bugs create inflammation, which disturb the balance of the gut and promote disease. When the gut gets out of balance, it cannot work properly to protect you from virulent germs, bacteria, and viruses. And there's also a gut-lung connection that scientists have now established, which shows that your gut bugs actually modulate your immune system if you have a respiratory disease. There is evidence that gut bacteria can influence lung and immune function. So again, what can you do to boost your gut immune health? And I'm sure you're familiar with many of these. It's some of the best advice that comes out about how we look after ourselves. It is about getting enough sleep, as sleep and immunity are closely tied. Eating more whole plant foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes. They are all rich in nutrients and antioxidants, and they may give you an upper hand against harmful germs. Eating healthy fats, like those in olive oil and salmon. Fermented foods have now come onto the market in a great way, and you can either think about taking those, and some people suggest a probiotic supplement. But fermented foods rich in the sort of bacteria you want include yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir, and most of those can now be bought in the supermarkets. Limit added sugars, which I'm sure is no surprise to us. We're back to exercise again. And about staying hydrated. So hydration doesn't necessarily protect you from germs and viruses, but dehydration can cause headaches and hinder your physical performance, focus, mood, digestion, and heart and kidney function. And these complications can increase your susceptibility to illness. Long-term stress levels promotes inflammation, so managing your stress levels once again is really key. And get outside and get some sun. We're really lucky at the moment with the weather we've got. And vitamin D that we get from the sun has several important functions. Perhaps the most vital signs are regulating the absorption of calcium, phosphorus, which repairs cells and tissues, and facilitating a normal immune system. So, what's the bottom line? Hippocrates, if I can get the word out, was around between 460 and 370 BC. Think how long ago that was. And he said, let food be thy medicine. So we can make several lifestyle and dietary changes today to strengthen our immune system. Every 27 days, approximately, our skin replaces itself. Your liver can regenerate itself every 30 days. And the body makes these new cells from the food we eat, which is then digested and absorbed. So think well about what you do want to take into your body. Be mindful to reduce sugar intake, stay hydrated, work out or exercise regularly, get adequate sleep, and manage your stress levels. At this time, more than any other, they will help to reinforce the body's defences against harmful germs. So, Kerry, that's me done.
So thank you so much. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have adjusted my desk height. My laptop is higher, and I'm sure everybody else was kind of thinking, am I sitting in the right position? That was absolutely brilliant. And I'm now obviously going to sit up straighter after that conversation around my head being 10 pounds in weight. And if I put it forward, which I'm often doing, and I can feel the strain in my back, that's adding an extra 10 pounds. So some amazing hints and tips there. And we've got quite a few questions. So Tim Barker on the chat says, nice tip. I'm feeling guilty about the stuff I leave on the stairs as I speak. We'll move straight after this. So I hear you, Tim. I leave mine there, and I actually hope that my husband will take them up the stairs. So I'm definitely the one that sees moving as an inconvenience. So I must change that mindset. So yes, from Greta, we've had that's a great session. Thank you so much. Someone's asked us, Ola M, please can you mention again about crossing your legs? She missed that point. Would you be able to just go through the crossing legs piece again? Yes.
So basically, when we I've got me doing it now actually because my legs were crossed. When we sit in a chair, we should actually make sure that we have our hips as far back to the chair as possible and our feet flat on the floor. Because what we're actually trying to do is make sure that our blood circulation is able to flow. When we actually cross our legs, we stop that from happening. and we minimize what's actually going on and the interactions we need in our body, the right movement. So actually, by keeping your legs uncrossed, it actually enables you to sit up properly in the chair, keep your feet flat on the floor, and actually for your blood to circulate properly around your body. You're not cramping things and compressing things down, because quite often when we do cross our legs as well, we have a likelihood to kind of like lean forward as well and what have you. So it's about staying open and upright.
And I think you're so right, which you talk about lung capacity. You know, I've just had one of my colleagues unfortunately come down quite seriously in Belgium with COVID-19, and obviously part of the disease is around our ability to breathe. So I think that's really good, important that we're trying to open up that diaphragm as much as possible to get stretch and capacity in there just to help us. So I think that's really important. And I guess if we're slouching forward, I think that's not helping us grow that muscle. Other few questions for you, lots of questions coming in today, Jane. This is from Tim. Are companies obliged to provide stand-up desks?
No, I don't think they are actually at the moment. I haven't seen many around at all. They are quite expensive as well. I think there are more companies that are now looking at them, but ideally it would be part of an organisation's health and wellbeing strategy about what do they want the office to look like for workers to work in.
And I think the point that you made, I mean, we have a colleague, John Ellard, I know I've seen him on the call, in his home office, he wanted a stand-up desk. So what he did, he actually installed a shelf. So he got a standard shelf and he's moved it. So now he has to stand. He's made that mental decision to do that.
Yeah.
And then he can basically sit there. And I don't know if he's put a lower shelf somewhere else or if he wants to sit. But I think, Jane, the point that you're making is it's within our gift, it's within our choice. So no one's going to tell us when we're working from home to get up and move. It's got to be a conscious decision. Sue in my team, she's also on the call, is saying she's going to be getting up and down from the floor 10 times now every day. So we'll be tracking that through. And then obviously we had one from Getter that said, are we making the webinar recording available so we can share it with others? So yes, either please do contact Jane directly at jane@bodymaneuvers.com. Alternatively, you will receive off the back of this call a follow-up email which has the link to the Oracle website where you can get a download of this recording plus all the others in the series as well if you've missed any of those. Just going back to our questions, I think that's it for everybody for today, Jane. So that just leaves me the opportunity to say a very big thank you to you. Absolutely fantastic. There's so many hints and tips there that we could all learn, I think, in terms of posture. And as you say on this last slide, it's what we put in our body that makes our body function as well. And I think health and immunity, our immune systems is critical right now for all of us. So thank you so much for that. Sorry.
No, I was going to say just one of the ways to think about it is you wouldn't put diesel in a petrol car.
Very true. You wouldn't put diesel in a petrol car.
No.
So yes, we do have one last question, which I am going to squeeze in because we've got a minute. What example, says Helen Carter, of getting up and down from the floor 10 times a day?
So what are examples of it?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're exercising, it might be just, you know, sitting down on the floor. You might sit down to do something, watch TV, play with your children. You might get up and down on the floor if you're exercising. If you practice squats, getting up and down from the floor. Just the whole bit around any sort of movement. I mean, even if you've put your, sound a bit daft really, but even if you put yourself somewhere and said, right, I'm going to get up and down off the floor twice, you know, there is actually an exercise which is supposed to be a real test of somebody's fitness, is if you can actually get up off the floor without using your hands or arms on the floor or any furniture, and actually just use the power of your body to stand up.
Your core muscles there.
Your core muscles and your legs.
Wow. Okay.
I think that is a medical test somewhere along the line, not one that I've participated in myself.
Okay, good to know.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. I think we're at the half-hour point. So just a reminder, the last call in this series, and we're working on the next series, so we'll come out to you with future calls is the rescheduled Adele Pickerel, where she'll be talking about employee communications in the current world, how to keep people engaged, and some amazing, again, some advice coming from Adele. That's Friday, so 12 o'clock British Summer Time on Friday. So we've got a break tomorrow. We're back in Friday, but hopefully if you've downloaded the calendar invite as part of the invitation, that should be in your diary. So look forward to you there. Jane, as always, absolutely amazing, completely insightful. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
Have a great day wherever you are listening in around the world. Stay well, stay safe, and hopefully see you on Friday. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.